So let me tell you a crazy story about child support. So there's this man, he is hanging out, he goes to the hospital, his girl delivers the baby. Now, she had already told him before, I'm not sure if this baby's yours. But he goes to the hospital, he or she's in the hospital, he's been out hanging out with his friends, and he goes to the hospital, he's drunk. So he walks in and they're like, here, sign this paper and put your address. He's like, okay, whatever. Signs a paper, put his address on there. And he finds out that that was the birth certificate that he signed. And then the information he gave was him, all about him. And so he's got his name on this birth certificate. So now the woman is getting assistance. So the government says, okay, we got to bring the baby's father in for child support. She's like, yeah, she goes and she gets her own test and finds out, yeah, this is just not his son. So she's like, no, this is not his son, So the courts is like, we're going to bring him to court anyway. His name's on the birth certificate. He signed a legal document. Okay. So they bring him to court. And what ends up happening is that the woman is telling the judge, no, this is not his child. She says, well, we're going to get our own blood test, whatever the tests were that they needed. So they get the test and they find out that in fact, he's not the father. So, so he doesn't have to pay child support. You would think the case is closed. After that time, he went back to court at least 2 or 3 times because they still wanted to get him for child support because of the legally binding document that he signed, which he did not know. That was a legally binding document to put his name on the birth certificate, which, by the way, he had been drinking. Okay, just be honest about that. And so he's going back to court, and I'm questioning, like, why are you going back to court? The court realized that you're not the baby's father. And so then the woman was so insistent, no, I don't want to do this to him. And so they said, listen, this is what the court system said. Listen, if you don't let us proceed, then you're going to lose all of your benefits that you are given to help you with this child if we don't take him to court for child support. So let's get this straight. Let's get our justice system straight here. So the justice system is saying, we know that in fact, this is not the father. So finally, after the coming back again for the final time, the judge says to him, she says, you know what? She says, because she is, the baby's mother, because she is so insistent upon you not paying child support, so insistent that you're not the father, so insistent on this, I'm going to go ahead and remove your name from the birth certificate. And so he's asking the judge, he's like, Your Honor, let me ask you a question. He said, what if she wasn't so persistent, even though y'all have the evidence that I'm not the baby's father? She says, oh, you would still have to pay child support. He goes, let me get this straight. You mean you guys know I'm not the father? You made me take the test. She's telling I'm not the father. And I would still have to pay child support if she was not so insistent? The judge says, look, we have thousands of cases of men paying child support and it's not their child. That's just the law. So did you just hear what the judge said? We have thousands of cases like this where the man's forced to pay child support for a child that's not his. Now, and then just think about something. If you don't pay child support, let's just say that you don't have a job, you lose your job, etc., something like that happens, you're not able to work or whatever, you can get locked up because you're not paying child support. I don't know if some states may have different laws, maybe certain laws have changed since then. So now you're being penalized because you don't have a job to be able to pay child support, and in maybe some situations for a child that's not yours. So, and then when you get out, so they lock you up, and then when you get out, you still have to pay back child support, but yet you were not even able to look for a job, able to find a job, but you still have to pay back child support. And then if you don't pay child support because in many cases, it's really because they don't have a job, they don't have the income, they don't have the money. And so what will happen? You'll get your license suspended. Okay, so let's take a look at this wonderful system that we're in. So you want me to pay child support, And if I don't pay child support, you're going to take away my license, which now removes my ability to move around to try to find a job. And then when you catch me, you're going to throw me in jail, which means now I can't work to pay child support. And then you're going to take and keep charging me child support every month while I'm in jail. Um, I don't even, I can't even fathom this kind of a system that is just set up to completely destroy our children, our families, and how the court system is involved in that with our mothers. I'm not saying everyone, because it's not everyone, but just think about how ridiculous that is. That there's a system that says we want you to take care of your child, and you should. Everybody should be taking care of their kids, whether the father has the child and the mother has the child. Everyone should be taking their kids. That is something that we should be doing. But to be penalized in such a way that doesn't allow you to take care of your kids, like how twisted is that? Like what kind of justice is that? What kind of fair system is that? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. And so it now makes sense to me when I have heard when people say, well, go to court, fight for your child, fight for your child. It makes sense to me now when I've heard black men say, man, I ain't going to court. I gotta stay away from the court system. And I was talking to someone and he was telling me once, he said, he goes, yeah, I could go to court, fight for my child. He says, but I just don't want to go into that court system. He goes, I don't want to go into that court system. He said, because he goes, they always make you feel guilty, even though I have not done anything wrong. I don't like to go to court at all. But this is something that it's absolutely ridiculous that a man would be threatened with his license, threatened and threatened with jail because he cannot afford to pay child support because he just simply can't get a job. And then you all know if you get out of jail, what happens is that it's so hard for you to find a job. You can't get your name on a lease. There's all these things stacked up against you. It's fascinating, right? You go to jail to serve time, and in some cases for stuff that maybe you didn't commit, maybe you really did and you deserve to go, or for child support. I'm sorry, I don't think that a man should be locked up because he didn't pay child support. I don't think so at all. There's got to be something else. But you go to jail, you serve your time, whatever that may be, and then you get out, and society punishes you. Yeah, right. You can't get a job, uh, and you can't even get a place to live. I'm just curious. What is it about someone who came out of jail who shouldn't have a place to live? What does that have to do with anything? You think what they're going to take the windows out and sell them? You think that they're going to? I mean, what is it? That is just such a wrong way, and so everything just seems so stacked up. Who are making these ridiculous laws about child support? So hey, we need to do something. Let's look into that. That's just crazy.